Okay, so I decided that I should probably show you how to do the molars because the molars are shaped a little bit different. There's a crease. Um, you see this image? There's like a little bit of a crease or an indentation here on the molars, and especially the bottom tooth. Um, some things that have changed from the last tutorial to this one is I kind of looked underneath the tooth and realized that they were too perfectly straight, so I changed the rotation of them so that the top part of the tooth, which would be that section, is faced inward a little bit more. Okay, so it's faced inward like that. Alright, so with this tooth, I'm simply going to select these four faces, and I'm going to move them closer to me, like that. And then I'll select these four and move these guys closer to me. And then I'm actually going to add another edge loop. Actually, I'll just select these 3, 4 vertices, and I'll push them back like that. And those two, and push them back. Okay? And then I'll select that vertex, move it forward. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to select the outer edges, so by double clicking it, and then move it back like this. Okay, now I'm going to click on the object mode, Control E, push it back, give it some thickness. Now if I press W, it gives me access to the move tool and not the transform tool. And there are a lot of extra things that we need to add to the bottom of this molar. So I'm going to go into the object mode and go to mesh display reverse. Okay, now I'll go back to face, and I'll press 1 so that it's easier for me to select the faces. If you double click, you can do that. Here, and then up top, there, at the bottom. Oops, press Z to undo. Oops. Sometimes it's a little bit wonky, so I press F to frame in. And then here, there, here, and then I'll hold shift to make a highlighted selection, but I know that I actually selected that one in the back. Okay, perfect. So there we go. That's my tooth. And I'm going to extrude. I'm going to extrude one more time. Control E. I'll press W this time and then move it back. Okay. The side of the tooth looks a little bit weird. I think I actually did a weird extrude here. Okay, I'm not going to go in and fix that right now. Let's see. I'm going to add another edge loop right here. So mesh tools, insert edge loop. I'll add that. And then I'll go to face, I'll select that face, and I'll push it straight down. I'll press 3. I'm probably not doing any due diligence to this particular tooth and the way it should be modeled. Move it down. Let's see here. If I select these 4 vertices, I'll press R to scale. So let me kind of go back to the front view and not get you dizzy. So that tooth underneath, I'll press R, scale them together. Press W and kind of move it up. I'll select these two. I'll move these guys up like this. And then I'll select these two and scale them together like that. I'll press 1 to make sure it's not so close. So press Z to undo because they're actually a little bit too close together. I'll select that vertex. I'll move it up. I'll move it to the left. And then I'll select the vertex right underneath it, move it out, and move it straight up. I'll select that vertex, I'll move it out, and I'll move it up like this. And then I'll take those two vertices and move them up like that. And I'll press 3. And it's got a little bit more shape to it. Let's not look at the back side because it doesn't look very good at all. I'll select these 4 vertices. I'll press R and scale them down. Scale them a little bit closer together. Like that. Again, I'm really not looking at any sort of reference for this tooth because I don't have any reference for the inside of the top molar. So I'm kind of freestyling it. That area is a little bit flat. Again, no one's going to see this part of it, the character's tooth. Alright. And I'm actually happy with that tooth. Alright. I've got that indentation here that I want. Because I know that when teeth fit properly on each other, they should. Well, they should. They don't always, right? People don't have perfect teeth, but let's go to the image here. Let's go to my front view. So you can kind of see how that round part of that bottom molar, it fits outside of this molar, and then the top part of this molar fits on the outside of the bottom part of the molar. So those are just the little things that we have to pay attention to, especially when we're forming the teeth. So we have these teeth created so far. I'll go into the perspective and start working on the last molar. And let me go to object mode and kind of move this molar over a little bit more. Okay. And then I'll move this guy to the right. I'm gonna go back to my front view because I want to double check the height. Okay, you can see that the height of that molars is about this midway through or in the center of that molar, so that looks about right compared to this particular tooth. And I'm going to do the same exact method here. Could I duplicate that and move it over? Yeah, and I'm going to do that. I'll duplicate and move it here. I'll move it up like this. And I'm going to scale it down like that. I'll press R to scale it like this. I'll do that. And then I'll go to the vertex mode. And now it's going to be a little bit crazier with like highlighting vertices, but I'm just trying to get all of the vertices on, I guess you'd call the x-axis right there, and move them over to the right, move them up, move them over. I can go to the edge and double click that edge loop there, so it goes all the way around the object, and move it up, move it over, and then I'll select the vertices here. I'll press Control to deselect that one, and I don't want that one selected. I'll move these guys up like this, and then I'll press Control to deselect that guy. Okay, let's just try to get it a little bit higher, and then I'm just going to select those 4 vertices and move them up a little bit higher. And then, okay, actually let's move it over. Let's select these guys, move them over, move these up, and pretty basic tooth. All right, almost like a pillow. And then I'll delete that guy. I'm pretty sure teeth fit together a little bit better than that. I'm going to select this tooth, go to Windows, UI Elements, and then I'll go to my shelf. And under my shelf I have the sculpting tool, so I'm going to click on the grab tool, and then I'll hold B to make the selection a little bit smaller. Right now it's extremely large, and I'm trying to find the brush size, so let me zoom out even further. I'll hold B, and where is that brush size? If I double click on the grab tool, the tool settings come up, and then I can dial it down a little bit smaller. Okay. Let me change the strength down, and then maybe a little bit lower. I want to see the brush size itself. It's moving like very small. I don't know if I can see it. I should see like a round circle around this object, and it's not allowing me to do what I want to do. So we just do something else. Go to face. I'll select that face here. I'll press B for smooth selection. I'll hold B and drag it down, and now I'll just kind of push them a little bit together so they fit a little nicer. Maybe not so close. Alright, that looks good for me. I'll select that vertex here, or the face, move it over, and we are finished with the left side of our mouth. I'm going to highlight all of these teeth. I'll go to Edit Mesh, Delete by Type, History, Modify Freeze Transformation, Modify Center Pivot, and then I'll press Control G to turn into a group. Modify Center Pivot. I'll press Control D.
Teachers, it is now 11:30.
And
the lunchtime projects
let's see here.
Over. Please have
this is the Z-axis.
That's
That's the X-axis. And I'll change the scale X to -1. I'm gonna move this guy over like this. Go to the front view. And if you wanted to like modify the teeth a little bit to make them look a little different and not the same, then be my guest. I'm just not going to spend a whole lot of time on all the teeth, maybe just the front two. Like this. Let's do that. And make those not so sharp. That tooth looks good. Let's go to that one. Get the gums to match. Okay. And I'll just kind of move this up a little bit. So that's the first row of teeth. Again, you can take that tooth and rotate it. The scale tool is a little bit off, so you can, rotate tool. So you double click on the rotate tool and change it to object. And ever since we did the freeze transformation, it kind of like changed the orientation of that. If I go to world, it's going to be the same exact thing. So what I'll do is I'll close it. Actually, I'll go directly into my top view and press F. If I hold D, let's see here. Most times you could change the orientation of that. Okay, it's right there, that green line. So I'll do this. And now you can rotate it any angle like this to kind of match a little closer. Alright? So it's up to you to do that. I'm kind of happy with the way they are right now. And I think I'm going to rotate these guys in a little bit. Instead of rotating it, I'll just take the vertices at the top. I'll press B, which is the soft selection tool, and I'll kind of push them in like that. Same thing with these guys. So there's lots of little things that you can do to make the teeth look more natural. If you're doing, especially if you're doing facial animation, then depending on how stylized your character is or the type of emotions that they're going to display, then you want to pay a lot of attention in the modeling the teeth. But since our character, we're not going to really do any sort of facial animation, maybe more posing and modeling, then I'm kind of fine with what I have. You can see I'm just making some last minute adjustments to the teeth. Rotate them like that. Push them. I'll change the move tool to world. And then I'll take that row and push them in a little more. Take that whole row like that. And then push them to the left. Take these guys. Alright, here we go. So, next part of this tutorial will be the bottom row of the teeth, and then we'll work on the gums. So again, I hope you guys like, share, and subscribe this video. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.